Hello and welcome to the first hash of the year 2022. We made it to the other side of the midnight, and now we are here. We are fired up for another great year of getting you up to speed on crypto and culture. And you know who has the first story today? The first story of the year is Jen Sanasi from the Polka Dot Squad over there. Wow, that is extreme coordination.
Yeah.
I am shocked.
Where are your
guys
polka
did not
dots,
get the
guys?
memo.
We did
Very
not get the memo.
disappointed in you.
Come on.
I sent the memo. I sent the polka
It's
dot memo.
cold.
Anyway, Jen,
Control.
you take it
Jen,
away.
control that.
Just so disappointing.
I know, I'm a little disappointed in the boys too, but here we go. 2022 is picking up right where 2021 ended off. NFTs are still in their glory days, it seems. So last year, everyone and their mother aped into NFTs. And this year, it looks like we're going to start seeing how NFTs are going to be integrated into our everyday lives. So the latest brand to jump on board is Samsung. They've announced that they are launching 3 new TVs this year that will have an integrated platform for discovering, purchasing, and trading NFTs. So I am going to kick this right on over to my Polkadot Squad member, Naomi. Take it away. What do you think of this announcement?
I think this is the worst news. All right. So here's the thing about internet security is that when you have these smart TVs, they are notorious for being hackable because Samsung isn't developing TVs with privacy in mind, with good firewalls in mind. That is like the least of their concerns. A lot of these Internet of Things devices are so bad at handling security. So I would not encourage you to even connect your TV to the internet, let alone start having a wallet embedded into it, searching for NFTs, purchasing NFTs. Like this sounds like a terrible, terrible idea. Like if you're going to be using a television, connecting it to a plethora of internet apps and whatnot, I mean, your best bet is probably going to be something like Apple TV. I wouldn't connect the TV itself. I would actually just link it to your Apple TV device because they're far more likely to have better privacy and security protections than Samsung. And these TV companies, as I said, are notorious for lack security. So, I mean, if they're diving into the NFT world, I really hope that they've got their stuff together when it comes to like protection and closing up any open ports and making things robust in terms of security. I definitely will not be using this product though for purchasing NFTs, but I'll throw to you, Will.
Yeah, the story that this reminded me of was recently all the Bored Ape Yacht Club people keep getting hacked. They hacked over and over and over again. And hacking crypto, like there's a lot of different hacks you can take, but the easiest one is to steal someone's seed phrase, which is basically like their password to their crypto or to their NFT or whatever. And you're never supposed to share that with anybody. Don't even share it with your mother, like the one who gave you life. Don't even consider sharing it with her because your NFT, your crypto will be stolen very quickly. And for whatever reason, all of these people in the Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT community always have their tokens stolen. They always have their passwords stolen. Like every single time, there's always a new joke on Twitter about someone having like a bunch of their apes stolen. And that's what this reminded me of. If there's going to be like Samsung, these bigger players coming in, try to get on the NFT hype bandwagon, and you're connecting it to an internet connection, like you said there, Naomi, going to have like a lot of stolen NFTs, which is just going to be like a huge new problem that this industry has never faced. I don't think this industry has ever really fixed the seed phrase problem to begin with. Even people who are into Bitcoin struggle with kind of securing their seed phrases. People don't take it seriously. This is just going to blow all that out of the water if this actually becomes a thing. Zach, I kind of want to get your opinion on this though, because those jokes, obviously they circle around Twitter quite a lot, but this really just, it takes it to a whole another level.
Yeah, I think you guys are absolutely right to be focused on the security concerns here and just like, opportunities for people to get rugged, that type of hacking, right? I think if we step back and we think about a major giant tech corporation building NFTs into its product suite, however, this is actually a really interesting sign. And interesting that these companies are thinking about ways for people to display these things that are all of a sudden $100,000, $1 million, these assets that people are aping into, and they want ways to show them off in the real world, in their living rooms, in a way that is cool to them. And the fact that Samsung seems to be buying into this vision is actually pretty crazy when you think about it, that we've capped off 2021, the year of the NFT, with Samsung saying, hey, we got you. You can show your NFTs off on these big old flat screens that we're going to be making in the coming year. That to me is pretty nuts. But I'm going to toss it to Jen for her thoughts.
Yeah, I don't think it's only about showing off your NFTs. So we talk so much about user experience and we talk so much about the metaverse. And I think people are really going to be accessing the metaverse through their TVs, right? Like if we look at Fortnite, Fortnite is this virtual world that people access through their TVs. I think it's really clever for Samsung to be getting into NFTs if we're going to be accessing the metaverse in that way. Although Naomi and Will, you both bring up a great point when it comes to security, but I'll pass it up to you, Naomi.
Yeah, I think, Zach, I completely agree with you about finding a way to integrate NFTs into our regular lives, because these are art pieces, first and foremost, these days. You know, their NFTs obviously have a lot of other potential use cases, but currently we're just kind of figuring out the art and collectible side of things. And so people do want to display these. They're using it as Twitter profile pics. They're finding a way to integrate it into their digital lives. But I imagine that integrating it into decorating their home life will also be the next step. And so it makes sense that Samsung is getting involved. And Jen, I agree with you. Like, it is smart that Samsung is making this play. It's smart they're getting involved. I just don't think it's smart if users use Samsung for hosting their NFTs. It's kind of a one-way thing there. But I'll throw it back to you, Jen, for final thoughts.
I mean, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I think the security issue is something that Samsung is going to have to figure out. I think that a lot of users, as they learn more about the technology and as maybe they learn more about these rug pulls and get their NFTs stolen, they'll be looking for different ways to display their NFTs. But I think it's a good indication of what's to come in 2022.
Speaking of things to come, let's talk about El Salvador. Was that a nice transition to start off the year? It really was.
Nice.
It was pretty good.
I liked it.
The thing is, whenever we do
impressed.
nice transitions, we always call it out, and then it kind of ruins the effect. But it's neither here nor there. Let's talk about El Salvador, which issued a few headlines over the Christmas holiday. I think a lot of people kind of missed out on them. The first one we're going to talk about is this price prediction from President Nayib Bukele, 100K into 2022, which was, of course, like the price prediction most Bitcoin maxis had last year, and that did not happen. We're hovering around like $47,000 per Bitcoin. But that doesn't mean that he's not super bullish on Bitcoin going to next year. He also sees 2 more countries making Bitcoin a legal tender, among other kind of aspects around Bitcoin going to the next year. I will say that they have bought the dip almost every single time Bitcoin has dropped down. So his money is where his mouth is. Another interesting headline that I want to get Naomi's take on is China and El Salvador have agreed to build a stadium together. China is going to give the funding and it will be built in El Salvador. This kind of follows up on a lot of different tactics, I guess I would say, that the communist government there has been using to kind of increase its presence globally. They go out, they fund these infrastructure projects in a lot of developing countries, and then later they can use them as collateral if the loan collapses. We saw this recently in Uganda, where an airport was seized by the Chinese government after they had funded it and built it, and then the Ugandan government couldn't pay back for it. So we kind of have a clashing of narratives here, which is this Bitcoin libertarianism, free yourself from the dollar. But then we also have China getting in here and bankrolling the Bukele regime and this new soccer stadium build out. So I really want to get your opinion on this. Naomi, it's pretty fascinating to see these two things kind of hit each other at the same time.
Yeah, it's not disturbing at all to see El Salvador forming a happy little partnership with China and them just giving them all the money to build a stadium. I mean, there are a lot of things going on here. I think you're absolutely right, Will, that a lot of this has to do with China, wanting to take things as collateral. It's also really crazy to think that El Salvador is going to go into further debt to build a national stadium. Like, what? Aren't they trying to raise money to build a Bitcoin city as well? And they're trying to float this bond backed by the full faith of the El Salvadorian government. It's now like partly owned by China. Like, I mean, these aren't really great economic decisions. And looking at the history of El Salvador, they haven't made great economic decisions. The best thing that they did was become dollarized because it was just a far more stable option than the colon, which they had up until 2001. The best decision they have made, I think, is exploring Bitcoin, because I think that it is just very interesting to see a government pull away from reliance upon US dollar. Very interesting in that Bitcoin is further being explored as this sound money alternative that's not controlled by any government. So I think that's very interesting. But then you're getting into bed with other governments, getting into debt with more governments, and China of all governments. This just doesn't seem like good news to me. But Zach, I'll throw it to you for your thoughts.
Yeah, El Salvador. I mean, I was thinking about it like, we see all these things through the lens of Bitcoin, and I was assuming that like China would have also have had to have seen this in like see China as dealing with the Bitcoin nation, right? And this is interesting to me, given that China has been adamant in its crackdown on Bitcoin and crypto currencies over the last 6 months or so. So the fact that they're sort of like also like kind of getting involved, maybe that to me was the thing that I was interested in, and I was curious about I'm curious what the thought process was on that one. Here's Bitcoin. We don't want anything to do with it in our country, but hey, we want a piece of the El Salvador story. That to me was what stood out. But yeah, El Salvador, man, just keeps getting crazy. He just likes being in the headlines. He likes tweeting. He likes saying stuff. He's got a surprise. He's shilling a surprise announcement at the next Bitcoin conference. You know what? I'm not entertained. I'll say that. Jen, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen in 2022. Like, it just felt like we were watching a movie when it came to what was happening with El Salvador last year. So I am both excited and frightened for the announcement at Bitcoin Miami this summer. Is there a movie coming out?
Yeah, there's like 45 documentaries being made about El Salvador and Bitcoin currently.
Okay, well, yeah, that makes sense. Thank you, Will. I'm a little rusty, but so I mean, it's interesting that Bukele remains bullish on Bitcoin. He has to remain bullish, and I've said on the show before that it is frightening to think about what could happen there when we enter a bear market. And if that happens in 2022, it will be interesting to see how the country handles that and how the people of El Salvador will handle that. But Naomi, I think I saw your hand go up.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Zach's point as well. That was very interesting to see a country that's completely banned cryptocurrency in all forms embrace a country that's completely embraced cryptocurrency. I'm wondering like what their game plan is. Why choose El Salvador as the nation that you want to help out and give money to and build this station? Like, what was attractive about them in particular? So that's got some questions arising for me. It's an interesting situation. But Will, I'll throw back to you for some final thoughts.
I'll just say what Zach said. This guy's always in the headlines. He just really popped on the scene last year, and he really can't stay away. I'm also kind of worried about how the Bitcoin community has gotten into bed, so to speak, with this regime, which has like a lot of questions around it. And I do think, just to kind of like shout out crypto media, this is one place that it really does matter, where you have these regimes that are kind of working with the crypto industry, and there should be like some questions around it. So I will applaud the crypto journalists who never sleep and always ask the questions. Zach, take us to break.
I will take us to break. I'll take a quick nap and recharge my batteries as we get going in the new year. But first, let's go north of the border to Ontario, where Binance had a little mini regulatory saga over the last few days. Kind of a fun little thing, some misunderstandings, etc., etc. Stick with us. It's The Hash. Hey, welcome back to The Hash. I am Zach Seward, and we are going to talk about Binance in Canada. Okay, remember in June, Ontario Securities Commission said, Binance, you can't be here. You got to get out of here by the end of the year. All right, end of the year came up. Binance said, hey, we got a breakthrough. We're emailing our customers. We're going to be good after December 31st. You're cool. Don't worry about it. But then the Ontario Securities Commission said, no, you didn't. Not so fast. What are you talking about? We didn't talk to you. They were not happy about it. They said, hey, no. They're unregistered. Don't listen to them. And then Binance came out and said, hey, there was a misunderstanding. Sorry, we're working on it. Those Canadians. Anyway, I got a sausage Jen on this one.
And they said it with those exact words as well.
That was a great retelling of the story.
That was it. It was actually a dramatic reenactment. Yeah.
You're not correct.
No. Anyway, so what does it mean? Jen, what does it mean that Binance, the largest crypto exchange in the world by volume, can't seem to get its ducks in a row when it comes to appeasing Canadian regulators in your dear country? Tell me about it.
In my dear country. I mean, I don't know what it means, but it doesn't seem like they can't only appease Canadian regulators. They're still in hot water. They're still really trying to untangle all of these knots with regulators all over the world. I got the email from Binance on December 29th, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. It seems like they've managed to sort everything out. And they referenced that they were able to get a money transmitter license with FinTrack, but they didn't reference anything about the Securities Commission. So it was interesting when I saw that email. I was like, oh, I'm excited for the hash because we can unpack this. When they were like, oh no, actually we're working on it. And so it just seems like Binance, and this is completely speculation, but it just seems like Binance really can't, I don't know if they can't get it together internally, or the conversations that they're having with regulators I just don't know what to make of it. I don't know if there are just misunderstandings, not only in the US, but with every regulator. It seems a little far-fetched. So maybe they just can't get it together internally, and they really need that legal person that I don't think they were able to hire to replace Brian Brooks. But Naomi, I'll pass it up to you.
I think I saw Will's hand go up first, so I'll throw to you and then I'll chime in.
I beat Will by like
Zach's
5 minutes.
Actually,
really?
Don't listen to Zach. His take is probably going to be terrible.
I
Dude,
suck at
Stick with
Zach.
Naomi and I.
I'm sorry. All right,
Zach,
take
you
it
go
away.
first. You
Whatever,
go first, man.
Whatever,
It's New
man.
Year.
I was just
I
going to say,
regret letting Will cut in the line now.
I was going to say,
You're out. You're not talking
Jen,
now.
you're right. You're right to mention FinTrack in there, because I think I'm willing to give Binance the benefit of the doubt on this one in dealing with the alphabet soup of regulatory agencies within Canada's most populous province. I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. Say, okay, we dealt with FinTrack. Oh, but you know what? We forgot to deal with OSC, and now OSC.
How did they forget that though?
I don't know. That's the thing that's crazy. I don't know. But anyway, Binance Canada is under the Binance US umbrella. I learned this the other day. So there may be a little bit of regulatory firepower that's a bit lacking in that shop at the moment. But they seem to have worked to address the misunderstanding as quickly as possible. So we wish them luck. I will toss it to Will, and then he's going to toss it to Naomi. I'm calling it now. All right, go.
I just want to do some jazz snaps for your little geography fact about Ontario. You slipped in there, most populous state. It's good to know this point. I didn't know that. I totally agree with both of you guys. Binance is a huge company. It's a huge company. It's probably one of the largest, if not the largest, in terms of staff in the world for crypto. I mean, it's already the largest exchange in terms of volume, but it might be also in terms of staff. And it's not surprising to me when you have a company that big, that's that corporate, it can't get everything done in time. When you come against these like pressing deadlines, that's why FTX is always kind of amazing. And they keep their staff really small on purpose in some sectors because they can move really quickly. Their dev team only has like 10 people and they can launch new products very quickly because of that. But when you get a little bit bigger, you're corporate, it's hard to turn things out on time. And then adding on to that, I just think that it's really difficult to get every single part of the globe correct. Crypto is a global industry now. And, if CBOE or NASDAQ, whatever, you're basically working with those 50 states. Like if you're an exchange, you're working with like a pretty set standard of guidelines. You go global, you have to deal with everybody. And it's not shocking to me that you can't get your paperwork turned in time. Naomi, I'll throw it up to you.
Yeah, I think that we're all talking about this in terms of a Binance problem. I think this is a government problem. I don't think that there's much the Binance could even do, even if they were super efficient and everything was running well and their team was so super cohesive. The fact is, governments around the world do not like Binance. And as LV99 pointed out in the chat, which I completely agree with, it all started when they started offering tokenized stock options. When Coinbase IPO'd, and then they were offering like this tokenized version of it, and they were offering a tokenized version of Tesla. All of this. That's when the regulatory crackdown started. It started with I think it was HSBC in the UK. We started with advice from UK financial authorities saying like, oh, you guys can't offer this. Then their banking relationship went south. And then it just like this catalyst effect. All these governments around the world just said, you can't operate here. It was like they just needed this one trigger. I think the governments, they just don't want Binance around. If you look at Binance's history, right? They started off in this era when it was move fast and break things, when they were just surging ahead, building up this incredible reservoir of coins coins and liquidity. I mean, they have more coin pairings than anyone. They started offering these tokenized stock options, like all of these innovative financial tools. And they're just saying, like, listen, we're not headquartered in any particular jurisdiction. We can't be held back by any regulation in any particular area. We're just going to move forward. And this worked for a really, really long time until it didn't. And then governments realized that they could shut it down. And places like FTX really didn't come about in that climate. They came about in a climate where 2019 was like the era of regulation. That's when the scrutiny like just kind of doubled down from Congress. It's like when Congress first started talking about this in terms of Libra and DM and whatnot. And so I think that it doesn't matter what Binance does. They've already set themselves up with all of these tools that governments do not want people to have access to. I mean, FTX doesn't offer nearly as many coin pairings. FTX also has a similar division where they have like FTX US and FTX everyone else, because the US kind of sucks for regulation. But I don't see Binance as being able to do much except just get rid of the majority of their offerings at this stage and really, taking it back to something that fits neatly within the government's regulatory framework until the government's actually going to allow it. They're just not going to allow this innovation right now. Maybe that'll change sometime in the distant future when people wake up to all of this. But for now, politicians are scared and they're clamping down on all of this. But I'll throw it back to you, Jen, for some final thoughts.
I don't really have any final thoughts on this. I'm going to throw it back to Zach
Appreciate
to
the
wrap
honesty.
us up.
That's so nice that you did that. I appreciate that. I think your polka dot outfits are just they're just great. I really like them today. All right,
that's a
all.
Great
That's my final thought.
And on that note, I'm going to change topics. Talk about what's going on in South Korea. So apparently there is a presidential candidate there who's now using NFTs to raise funds for his campaign, which is kind of interesting. So Lee Jae-myung is preparing to use NFTs to raise money in a bid to appeal to millennials, which seems kind of interesting. Part of me is like, oh, well, this is just another politician trying to show that they're hip and using technology and please vote for me. But Lee has actually said some pretty interesting things about NFTs, about technology, about embracing it. Lee said, it's high time that we undertake innovative experiments to enhance our understanding of these future technologies and change perceptions of digital currencies and NFTs. Seems pretty bullish on the crypto space in general. So that makes me actually a little more exciting than someone who doesn't really understand the rhetoric and is kind of parroting a lesser version of it. But I'd love your thoughts. Will, I'm going to throw to you. What did you think about all this?
Well, the first thing I thought was I really don't understand South Korea's presidential election deal. I don't know if this guy is like important or not. So that would be some good context. Maybe Jen can throw some light on there since you've done reporting and lived there for a bit. I'd also say that the NFT play actually kind of makes a little sense, but there could be backlash to this. If you see like all the brands that issue NFTs, there's a ton of backlash against that. I think like Pepsi and some beer companies did it. Tons of backlash. I'm wondering if he gets backlash for trying to like culturally appropriate, if you will, something that like millennials and like people in their 20s are using. Doubt that happens, but it'll be interesting to see. Jen, I'm going to throw it to you though, because I am interested to know, is this guy like, is he kind of a top candidate or is he just trying to get himself up into the top candidates?
I actually can't really tell you any information about how the politics in South Korea work. I'm so sorry. I don't know. Naomi, do you know before I give my take on the story? I think that he is important. I think he's the presidential candidate for the
pretty cool.
Well, he's the Democratic Party presidential candidate. Let me Google Democratic Party while you chat, Ben.
Okay, while you do that, I'll chat. I thought this was really interesting, given that in September, South Korea really cracked down on exchanges. I remember a whole bunch of exchanges had to shut down in September last year. I think only about 20 of them got the approval to move on in the process to get a license to be able to offer South Koreans access to the exchange. And so I thought this was really interesting. If the presidential candidate for the Democratic Party is looking to appease to millennials and Gen Z through crypto and NFTs, I would love to hear what his stance is on crypto exchanges operating in South Korea and what his stance is on privacy. Because when that crackdown happened, it was really all about paying your taxes and KYC and the government having full kind of purview into what retail investors are doing with crypto. So I would love to hear more about that. I think the millennial and Gen Z voters, especially in South Korea, are a little bit more switched on, and I hope that those questions are asked in the election process. But Naomi, were you able to find anything?
So, I mean, the Democratic Party of Korea is really big. They have like half the seats thereabouts. There's like 4 million members. But this person's name doesn't pop up. So I presume that this is like a primary and he's contending for like the position to lead this party. So it's unclear how large he is in particular, but the party that he is a part of is larger. But I will say, like, on the note, like, Will, did you honestly bring up like the cultural appropriation? Because like young people like use NFT and this guy, like, I'm so triggered right now. I don't even know what to say that.
Look
like
how triggered
there's
you
a
are.
barrier to entry on this technology. Old people and young people are free to use it. You have my blessing. Please ignore Will.
It's just optics. Anyway, it's just optics. People respond to things differently.
So is virtue signaling about cultural appropriation stuff. So I'm going to throw it to Zach.
I don't disagree. I was asking the question. But I'm probably right.
No, just kidding. I got 3 things.
That's how we're starting 2022.
Control. Get them out. Get off the screen. All right. Anyway, first thing. Well timed to the Samsung announcement, mind you. Samsung being a South Korean multinational. Boom. Well done. 2. I hope they choose the hometown team for this one and go with Terra, because Terra is popping in Korea and the Terra NFT scene is also emerging. So I hope these NFTs are issued on that network. I don't know if that detail was in there, but I'd be curious to know on which blockchain these will be supported. And 3, I want the Sash one. Did you guys see the Sash one? That is definitely the highest rarity NFT. The one with the sash
There's
on
a sash
in those pictures. Just cycle through the pictures again. There's one that caught my eye where he's got a little sash on. He's looking very cool. That one looks rare. I want that one when it's minted. That's all I'm saying. All right. That's it.
Control doesn't want
the first day back. Yeah.
I'm fired up, man. 2020.
There it is. There's the stash.
There we go.
That is
that's
it
nice.
right. No, that's that base rarity. No, that one. Yes, there it is. Boom.
All right, we're going to get that NFT for Zach.
Don't know what it says, but I'm copping that when it comes out. All right. Anyway, well, that's it for the show today. We're here in 2022. We're fired up. We're charged up. We're refreshed. We're ready to go. We are the Hash. I'm Zach Seward. That's Will Foxley, Jen Sanasi, Naomi Brockwell. We're here every weekday at noon Eastern to get you up to speed on the latest in crypto news and have a good time while doing it. Thanks so much. We'll see you on Tuesday. Hope you're having a great year so far. And that's it. See ya.
That's it.
See ya.
Bye.